Hey everybody, Puzzle Max here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Trefoil Tetrahedron from Limcube. This puzzle is really cool, and it combines the turning of a standard Pyraminx with the turning of a 2x2 Pyramorphics puzzle. And because of that, it has some really interesting combinations and things that can happen. First thing to note here, it's got this big triangle in the middle that you can see. Got that on every face. And that consists of a few different pieces. We've got all these little triangles, but they all do different things. These ones here, I like calling the tip triangles because they can only go next to the tips of the Pyraminx style. And then we've got these sections here of little triangles. We've got the inside edge and the outside edge. Those will need to be paired up at some point and put into place in order to work with the edges. And then we've got the actual edge pieces, and these function as your edges, just like they do on a Pyraminx type puzzle. So it's just a matter of kind of getting everything aligned, getting everything put back together. I will be reducing this to a Pyraminx and then solving from there. So it's kind of, if you know what you're doing with a Pyraminx, you can figure it out at the end. I will cover here just some of the basic moves and things I'm going to do. Because it uses multiple styles of turning, I'm not going to be posting algorithms on the page or anything like that because there's no set notation that works with everybody. It would be hard to follow. But I should be able to explain things and you'll be able to see what's happening on the screen. The first sequence is a standard Pyraminx type thing that's going to flip this entire edge and this entire edge in place. So it's not going to move anything else on the puzzle. It's just going to flip those two. And that's just down, down, up, up. Then bring this over. Bring this side up. Bring this back over. And bring that down. And just as I said, that flips those right where they were sitting. That's really helpful during a couple of the stages where you have to place the inside triangles here. The other one is a bit less standard because you can't actually break these pieces up, the inside triangle and the outside edge triangle, unless you take it out of shape and still have access to a Pyraminx turn. And as you can see, once you take it out of shape with a Pyramorphics turn, you lose a lot of the access to the Pyraminx style turns. You can achieve some access to those Pyraminx style turns just from miscellaneous Pyramorphics turns and scrambles, but a guaranteed way of doing this is a quick algorithm that's going to move this entire tip to the top and replace it with this orange triangle. It's also going to swap this blue triangle and this yellow triangle, but it's going to leave you access to this Pyraminx turn. What it's going to do is it's going to take this set of inside triangles and move them to here. Could be done on the left as well, but it's going to replace them with this edge so that when I turn this, it'll break things up. And that's very easy. It's comparable to a sledgehammer type thing on a Scube puzzle. And if you just go up, up, down, down using Pyramorphics turns, now I've bandaged these other turns, other Pyraminx style turns, but this one down here, I can still turn freely. And that can be used to break up these pieces along with the edges and move those out of orbit. And then to undo that, you just go the opposite direction. Just up, up, down, down, starting on the left. So that's pretty much what I'm going to be using. The other one is a standard beginner's method for rotating corners. You've got to remember this is still a 2x2 behind the scenes. So for this algorithm, this is going to be my up, this is going to be my right, and this is going to be my down. And this is going to rotate this entire blue triangle counterclockwise, and then it's going to rotate this big tip along with these edge pieces clockwise. It's going to leave the rest of the puzzle untouched. Because this entire section here is blue, you won't be able to see it, but if you know basic beginner stuff, you'll understand. And that's your just right inverse, down inverse, right, down, right inverse, down inverse, right, down. Now I'm going to do a U-turn to bring in a new corner, and then down inverse, right inverse, down, right, down inverse, right inverse, down, right, and then undo that U-turn. Keep things in shape. And again, this rotated as well, but you can't see it. But when I'm using that algorithm during the solve, it'll be obvious what it's doing. So there's your basic functions and how I plan on using this. As far as scrambling goes, I call this kind of an unsolve along with a miscellaneous scramble, because you do have to do some intentional moves if you really want to break up these inside triangles and the edges as best as possible. So to get started, I just start doing some Pyraminx turns, just to move edges around, get everything out of the way, and then some 180-degree Pyramorphics turns. Those just get things rolling and get colors kind of mixed up and out of the way. Then back to the Pyraminx turns and some more Pyramorphics turns. If you're comfortable solving a Pyramorphics and you know you can get it back to puzzle shape relatively quickly, you can do some standard 2x2 type turns and then solve it back to a Pyraminx shape after you move some stuff around. But honestly, that's not really necessary, because we're going to get things really messed up here in a second. Next step is some intentional moves. What I'm going to do is that move that I showed where it swaps this tip with this triangle. And in doing so, it'll allow me to intentionally break up these inside triangles. And I want to do that all over the puzzle. And it'll also move some of the edge pieces out of the way and into new places. So for this one, I'm going to move this yellow down into this position and swap it with this orange and yellow edge piece. Doesn't matter which colors you use since you're messing things up here. And so that's just starting on the right. I'm just going to go up, up, down, down, and give this Pyraminx layer that's still turnable a rotation. And then undo that. Up, up, down, down, just to keep it into a shape where I don't have any bandaging and everything is still turnable. Then I just go around the rest of the puzzle and try and find those two color triangles that are still paired up and mix those up as best I can. It's a very semi-tedious process, but if you do it right, if you want the best scramble, some intentional moves like this are necessary. Puzzle does have some catching issues, but I haven't had anything pop or break yet, so I kind of don't mind being a little sloppy with my turns. Let's go here. It's just a matter of finding pieces, moving stuff around, getting things broken up, and then mixing in some Pyraminx turns and more 180-degree Pyramorphics turns along the way. So I'm not going to bore you with the rest of the scramble. It's going to take a minute, so I'll be back in a second and show you where to get started solving this. And we're back, and it looks a whole lot more intimidating now than it did when I first started up the video. After you get pieces broken up and start doing other turns, you can just make kind of haphazard Pyramorphic turns and basically move things around however you want. Because the Pyramorphic turns will bandage your Pyraminx tips a lot of the time, you might end up with this situation where you can rotate this piece. But in most situations, the Pyramorphic turns are going to bandage a lot of your Pyraminx tips, which is why that intentional turn that allows that bottom one to still rotate is a good idea. So first step here, and the most important, is to get this back to puzzle shape. This is not important for colors, anything like that. If you're familiar with a Pyramorphic solve or a 2x2 solve in general, you can use that technique. But for this, my main goal is to get 3 pieces together. And this is honestly just a matter of turning things. They don't have to be the same color. I got lucky here. That just happened. But once you get 3 of those tips together in a triangle shape like that, then you can use some variation of that algorithm I was using to move this front piece to the top and this top to the front. and just go up, up, down, down. There you go. And now we're back to the basic Pyraminx shape. So all of my Pyraminx turns are legal again, and all of my Pyramorphics turns are still legal. So we can do all that. Next step is to get rid of all of these pieces that are sticking up. It's far more intimidating than it actually is. I'm not worried about colors right now. I'm not worried about fixing anything like that. All I want to do is get these out and replace them with a flat triangle, so the outside edge triangle that belongs here. So the way I like to start this is with a flat face on top with a tip pointing directly at me. And then on this down Pyraminx layer, I want to find these flat outside edge pieces, outside edge triangles, and make sure I have them. As long as I do, I'm going to put one on either the right or the left. So I've got one sitting over here on the right, and I'm going to do that same algorithm to swap this tip with this flat section to bring one of these two sticking up edges down to this position. So I'm going to do the right one. Doesn't matter which one you use. So up, up, down, down, if it'll let me. In this position, now that you've got stuff mixed up, there is a lot more catching, but that goes away pretty smooth. So now that I've done that, swap that out. I'm just going to rotate that to bring that outside triangle lined up with another triangle, and then undo that up, up, down, down. So start on the left this time, just to bring that back around. And there you go, it's flattened that out. Coolest part about this is there's very little thought involved. Once you see that, once you know what you're doing, it's a matter of just setting it up, putting a sticking up edge piece here, getting it down to this position, and bringing in a flat triangle. As long as you have a flat triangle down here, it works. So this time I'm going to start on the left, up, up, down, down, and bring in that flat triangle, and then undo it by going on the right this time, if it'll let me. There it goes. All right. So let's see. On this down Pyraminx turn, I've now run out of flat triangle pieces. So I'm going to put another Pyraminx turn on the down. I've got a flat piece there. I've got a flat piece there. So I know I can do this a couple of times. So I've got two pieces sticking up on the top here. So I'm going to bring this one down. So up, up, down, down. And bring in one of those flat pieces. The colors line up sometimes. It's not important. We fix all that later. And there we go. Let's see. On this down Pyraminx turn, I've still got a flat piece. So let's bring in another one of these tips that's sticking up and do the same thing. Bring that in and undo it on the right-hand side this time. No more sticking up here, so let's go here. I've got two sticking up there, and on this Pyraminx turn, I've got some flat ones. So let's do this. And undo that. And there's no rhyme or reason to this. You're not looking for specific colors or anything. The main goal here is just to get the shape of the entire puzzle back to exactly what it's supposed to be. And the cool part here is once you've placed all of those flat pieces, you will have nowhere else for the pieces that stick up to go. So they'll all have to be in the right place as well. Here's a cool scenario where I can continue fixing things. On this Pyraminx turn, I've still got another flat piece. But up here, I don't have anything else sticking up. So here is a cool situation where I can use the Pyraminx move that flips two edges in place. So if I go here and turn this face that I want, I can flip this edge in place and flip this edge as well. So that's just down, down, up, up, bring this over, bring this up, back around, and back down. And now I have that sticking up. There's other ways of doing that. You can be a little more intuitive and just kind of move stuff around, but that's a cool way to involve an algorithm if you're looking for one. Alright, no more sticking up there. Let's go to this face. I don't have any flat pieces on this Pyraminx level. So now I need to involve that turn that I was just using. So if I take two edges that have flat pieces on them, and flip them in place, it'll move the flat piece to the other half of the edge. So just down, down, up, up. Done that, and now I've got access to this flat piece that I can use to repair this. That's done. Bring that in. And one more here. This one's a cool situation. Since I'm running low on the flat pieces, this piece is sticking up and it's got a flat piece attached to it. I can move this flat piece out of the way by just doing a 180-degree pyromorphics turn on this edge. Moves that around, brings an edge piece up, and now I've got access to this flat piece. Here's another case where I've got to flip it. So let's just flip this in place. So down, down, up, up. I'm going kind of quickly here because chances are if you've gotten to a puzzle this type, you know complex puzzles, you know what you're looking at here. So I'm going to bring this pointing up piece down to this face and do a Pyraminx turn to repair it. For this step, there's lots of ways you can go about it. There's much more intuitive approaches if you know what you're looking for, and you can just turn Pyraminx pieces to get things in place. This is the last piece that's sticking up, which means this is the last flat piece. So I do need to use this pyromorphics turn to get that flat piece out of the way. And let's see here. Now that's adjoined there, so I can put that on that edge down at the bottom. So it's on this Pyraminx turn now. And then I can do this Pyraminx turn to move that pointing up piece to the top. So that's just another way you can look at things. Last thing here, I'm going to do this from the left to bring that piece down and finish that off. And now you'll see that we've actually got this puzzle looking a lot more normal. So there's that step. It's very intuitive. Once you start playing around with it, you'll see how easy it really is. So that's the first step in getting things back to puzzle shape. Next step is going to be reducing the inside and outside edge triangles. So give me 1 second and I'll show you how that works. All right, reducing these inside and outside edge triangles. Basically what I mean by that is just pairing up the colors. This is the first step in the solve that actually involves putting colors where they belong. So you do have to be a bit more cautious about how you move things and where you put things. But it's going to use the exact same algorithm I was just using for returning it to puzzle shape. But this time, I'm going to be paying a bit more closer attention to what piece I'm trying to move. Wherever you start, doesn't matter. You just want to pick one of these inside-outside triangles, pairs, that is incorrect. So for this example, I've got this blue and orange paired up. I don't want blue and orange together, so I'm going to move this section down to here and get rid of and move this orange one off. So up, up, down, down, same way that I've been doing. Move that orange one out of the way. It's going to move one of the edge pieces. It's going to put that into a pointing up position. I don't care about that. That'll come into play later. I can fix that later. Now I'm just going to undo that move that I just did. So up, up, down, down from the opposite direction. And now I've got one edge sticking up, but I've also got this orange piece down here that I can use to repair an orange inside edge. So I don't have any orange inside edge triangles on the top face here. Using Pyraminx turns, I just need to move one up to the top. So there's an orange paired up with a green. Not worried about that because the green is going to move out of place. As long as this orange piece that I'm going to be using, isn't in this front edge, I'm fine to use it. So I want this orange piece to come down here. So start on the right, up, up, down, down, and bring in that orange. Undo that with the up, up, down, down on the left. Oh, come on now. If it'll let me. There we go. And now I've got the green one down here available for me. And that's all there is to it. Now it's just a matter of finding the inside triangles that need to pair up with the outside edge triangles. So I've got a green and blue here. I know this green one needs to be paired up with a green. So I'm going to bring that to the top and continue moving on like I've been doing. Every time I do this, it's going to move a new color out of place and give me access to another triangle combo to repair. So here I've got blue and orange here. I need to repair this blue one, and I've got blue down here. I can do just a full rotation of this top face and put that in an accessible position. So now I'm going to start on the left to move this to this position to use that blue one that I've got. This is a very easy step, and because you're not worried about keeping the corners in place or anything like that, it's just a matter of moving stuff and knowing what you're looking for. But an orange one here, let's see. Here's an orange one that I need. Let's bring that up to the top. Now this orange and blue, I'm going to bring down and slide that orange one in. Main goal here is to keep it in pyramid shape as best you can for the entire thing here. I've got a blue one here. Let's find a blue and something. Looks like all of my blue inside triangles are complete. Well, that tells me that the one that needs to be solved is the one that has the edge sticking up on it. So I'm going to take that one and repair it with this blue flat one that's sitting down here. In doing so, that's also going to bring it back to pyramid shape. It's going to get rid of that piece sticking up. And we can go around and take a little bit of mental inventory here. Those are reduced, that's reduced, that's reduced, that's reduced. But I can still see that I have some edge combos that aren't completely reduced yet. So what does that mean? It means I just got to keep going and start from the beginning. So find one that isn't reduced, this green and yellow, for example. Let's bring that up. Get that green out of the way and undo. And now I've got a green one sitting down here. I don't have any green inside triangles up here. I've got one down here though. So let's bring that up to the top. Now this green and yellow combo, I'm going to bring down to here. And make that turn, moving that yellow out of the way. This goes fairly fast. I've got a yellow flat one sitting here. I've got a yellow and green one up here. When you're doing this on your own, after you've done it a couple of times, this step goes very, very quickly because it just flows once you know what you're looking at. And if I'm not mistaken, everything should be reduced except for this one with the spike on it and this one back here. So I should have a green one sitting down here, which I do. So I've got to fix this green and yellow one. So let's bring that over to a usable position. Bring this one down. And slide that green one in. Undo that with a left-hand turn. And now I've got this yellow and this yellow that need paired up. So let's do that. And we're good to go. If I'm not mistaken, I think all of those inside edge triangles should be, inside and outside edge triangles, should be paired up with the correct colors. And there you go. So, one cool thing to note about these, there's no other way to break them up without using pyromorphics and pyraminx turns together. There's no way to break these up. So if I do pyraminx turns, they're going to stay together. If I do just pyromorphics turns, they're going to stay together. The only way to break them up is if I do a series of pyromorphics turns and then a pyraminx turn. So that's why that algorithm works. So now that those are joined, the next step is going to be putting the tips where they belong, basically making this into a solvable pyraminx situation. This step is also fairly easy, and it uses a combination of pyraminx turns and pyromorphics turns, but never out of shape. So you'll always be in this shape before you make a Pyraminx turn, which means you'll never risk breaking up those pieces you just put together. You can use a Pyramorphics style solve and actually just put these in place, or you can just kind of go at it. I like to just kind of go for it and see what happens. A lot of times you'll end up with a situation like this where those are put together, ready to go. However, this tip is not in the right place, and this tip is not in the right place. I can join the greens here, but those don't line up with the blue. What that tells me is I just need to do a 180-degree turn of those two edges, those two corners rather, using a Pyramorphics style turn, and that should leave me with just a few Pyraminx turns to pair all of those up. And there you have it. That's all that step involves. It's very common sense. Just take a look at things, see how you need to move them, and make solid point to never make Pyraminx turns when it's out of puzzle shape. That's the main thing, because that will keep all of the edges that you just reduced safe. Next up, we're going to start reducing the edges a bit farther. This step is also pretty straightforward, so hang on one second. Let me just wrap my head around it, make sure I'm going to be telling you the right things, and I'll be back. Glad I took a quick break there because I actually misspoke at the end of that last section. Before we start finishing the reduction of the edges, we actually have to put these tip triangles in the right place. This is exactly where you need to do this, so it's fine. Basically, this is a matter of common 3 cycles, patient 3 cycles, because we know that no single Pyramorphics turn and no single Pyraminx turns when it's in puzzle shape will mess things up. This is just common sense. What it's going to do is I'm going to take a triangle from the bottom and bring it up to this position. So with a Pyramorphics turn, bring that up, and then I'm going to rotate this Pyraminx tip and undo it. Main goal here is, again, to keep all of your triangles, all of your tips correctly oriented. So let's see. Do I have an orange back here? I don't, but I do have a blue, so this blue works. So I'm going to move this tip. Now when I bring this blue up with a Pyramorphics turn, it's going to knock this orange out of the way. I'm going to rotate this tip back and then rotate this Pyramorphics turn correctly. That's all there is to it. You can do this from any angle. As long as you make sure to do move and undo a move, you're good to go. So up here, let's see. This green, I've got a green on the bottom. I'm going to bring that up, get it out of the way, and bring it back down. Good to go. Let's see, I've got one more to solve here. Let's see, do I have a yellow on the bottom? I do have a yellow on the bottom of this piece in my left hand. So I know that this is going to move a blue out of the way. So I'm going to move this blue and then put it back in this position where blue already is. That's not going to hurt anything. So bring this yellow up to the yellow face, turn it around, and bring that blue back up in. It's as easy as that. So I've now got 2 of these completely reduced. Those tip triangles are paired up all the way around on both of those, which leaves me with these last 2. So just start anywhere you feel comfortable. I like to just look at whatever I have on the bottom and start from there. So I've got an orange here, so I'm going to put that orange in place, get it out of the way, and undo that. So now I've got the orange correct here and the yellow correct here. Because I've only got one left here on this big tip, I'm going to put this as my bottom. So I'm going to hold that in my left hand now. And let's see what we've got. Yellow here, orange here. If I turn this, I know that the yellow from this position is going to come up into this position. The orange is going to get knocked out. When I make another turn, I can put it here and bring this blue down to here. Final 3 cycle. And there we have it. So that's not complicated at all. It's very straightforward. It can get a little confusing if you have some duplicates working, but it's easy to see and you can play around with it and make it work. So now for reducing the edges. Here I'm looking to reduce these 2 color edge pieces. I'm not worried about putting the inner and outer edge triangles in the right place right now. My sole concern here is getting these two color edge pieces paired up correctly. Sometimes you'll get lucky and you'll end up solving and reducing an entire edge. That doesn't matter, who cares? So first thing to note here is I'm looking to solve the orange and blue edge piece. So I need to find the other orange and blue two color edge and put it in the bottom of this back position. So I'm looking at this edge. I need to put the other piece on the bottom of this back edge. From there, I can either use the left hand pyramorphics turn. This works so much better when I'm not recording, I swear. So it can either use the left hand pyramorphics turn or the right hand pyramorphics turn, depending on which one I need to move in. So let's see if I can find that other blue and orange. As it happens, it's already on the bottom of that back edge, so got lucky there. If it's not there, use your knowledge of pyraminx turns and just put it in place, but be very cautious to keep the tips oriented correctly along the way. Now, because I'm going to be moving this in with the right hand turn, I need to make a point of having an unsolved edge pair in either this position, my pivot point, or this position, the only edge that isn't affected by this turn. So I've got an unsolved edge here as my pivot point, so that works fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this turn, pairing up those, and then I'm going to swap in a new edge and undo that pyramorphics turn. So let's go ahead and make this pyramorphics turn 180 degrees to pair up those blue and orange pieces. Then I'm going to swap in this piece from my pivot point that's not solved yet with just an up, down, down, up. Moved a new piece into my pivot point, but because that's not getting touched by the turn, it's just rotating, it doesn't matter. And then just undo that turn that I did. In doing so, I paired up another one. You can actually force that a lot of times if you really get creative with your pyraminx turns, but it's not necessary. You don't have to worry about that. So let's take a look at what I've got here. I've got a blue and yellow here that needs to be done. And because it's on the right-hand side, I'll be able to use the left-hand pyramorphics turn. So let's find the other blue and yellow edge, which is here. And I need to put it on the bottom of this edge section back here. So in order to do that, I can turn this straight across and swap in a new one just to get it out of the way. And that worked just fine. So we're good to go there. So let's do that. And then I'll have a piece on my pivot point ready to go. Say, for example, I didn't want to use that pivot point. I can also have that edge that's unsolved up here in the top right. That works just as well. So I'm going to make the left-hand turn here to pair up that blue and yellow. It's good to go. Now I'm going to swap in this piece back here, which isn't solved yet, and use the pivot point as my third piece. Always want to use that pivot point and the safe edge as your turns. That's good to go, and then just undo that turn there. So now I've got that reduced, and that reduced. Since there's only 6 edges here, I know that since 4 of them are done, I've got 2 remaining. So let's find the 2 that are remaining, and let me put them on the same face so it's kind of easy to see. So I've got the orange and yellow here paired up with a green and yellow, and orange and yellow here, not green and yellow, green and orange, sorry. Orange and yellow here and green and orange here. Tells me that these need to swap, but we know that we can't just swap 2 pieces like that. So what we're actually going to do is put one of these edge pairs in that same back bottom position. Doesn't matter which one's down, doesn't matter how it works, as long as it's down there, using pyraminx turns and keeping my tip safe. Now I want to bring in whichever piece replaces the piece of the same color. Because you can do this from either direction, you'll always have one available. So I've got the orange and yellow as my bottom back here. So I need to use the left-hand turn to bring in the other orange and yellow piece and replace this orange and yellow. So I'm going to do that. replacing that orange and yellow. Now I need to flip this entire section in place with the pyraminx style turns. I don't want to touch anything that's already been cut, that's been affected by that turn that I just made. So what I'm going to do is use this piece and this piece back here, my free slice, my free edge, and just rotate those in place. So keeping track of where I was, I'm going to turn the puzzle, down, down, up, up, over, up, back over, and down. Come back to where I was and undo that pyramorphic style turn. And it paired those up. And now you'll see that all 6 of the outside, the 2 color parts of the edges are paired up, ready to go. So now we get to the first step where we're actually going to start solving this as if it were a pyraminx. Using the outside 2 color edges as my guides, I'm just going to start solving it like a pyraminx. I don't care about these inside triangles yet. Don't worry about those. You just want to see if it's solvable as a pyraminx, or if you have some situation of parity sitting here. If you know how to solve a pyraminx, you can use whatever situation you want to do here. I'm guessing if you have this puzzle, you already know pyraminx solving techniques. Now we do have our first parity. As you may know, on a standard pyraminx puzzle, you can rotate 2 edges in place, but you can't swap them. So I can rotate these 2 freely. And they look good from here, but I see my blue and green is on the yellow face, and my yellow and green is on the blue face. The orange face is complete, so I've got my first parity situation here. This one is very easy, but can be hard to follow, so I'll try my best to keep this on screen as best I can. Basically what I'm going to be doing is using that same technique that I did for pairing up the last 2 edges, but I'm going to change it twice along the way so that I move them to a new position. So first thing I want to do is get them as close to they can be solved. So green is facing green in both places, and they're swapped, so I need to swap these. Now I want to put one on the front of the top face. Doesn't matter which one, but I need to remember which one I'm trying to fix. So let's go ahead and put this blue and green on the back position that I need to use here. You're going to mess up some of your other turns that you've already done. That doesn't matter. But just keep those tips correct. So I know for a fact from this point on that I'm trying to put blue and green here. So what I need to do is turn a pyramorphic turn to bring one of the blue and green edges up into this position. So pyramorphic turn. I want to keep that blue and green edge in on this edge section. So I'm going to rotate this edge and this edge 180 degrees, or in place rather. So just the same down, down, up, up, over, up, back over, and down. That's done. And then undo that pyramorphic turn. Good to go there. Now, here's where you have to be a little more cautious. I know that I need the blue and green to go here. So I need to flip the blue and green on the back section so that I can bring it in to this to replace this piece. Because that blue and green is on the top of that back edge position. It's not on the bottom where it needs to be usable. So I'm going to do that same thing, just being mindful that the blue and green edge is what I'm working on. So I'm going to flip that in place. And now I'm going to do the same thing that I just did, this time from the left. So I'm going to bring in the other blue and green from the bottom back here. Bring that in. Now I'm going to flip this edge and this edge in place because I know they're both safe to turn. So I'm going to flip both of those in place. Come back to that blue and green edge and then undo that left-hand pyramorphic turn that I did. And there you have it. That's been moved to this position, and the green and yellow has been moved down to this position. Now we solve it like a pyraminx again. So going to go back to where I was and start solving it like a pyraminx again. Let's see. And we got lucky. Everybody is in a solvable spot, can be used just as it's supposed to be. So that's perfectly fine, ready to go. There is a more complicated parity situation here that will likely show up at some point during your solves. So let me go ahead and set that up and show you how it works. And chances are, after you solve this next parity, you'll end up creating the one that I just showed you. So I'll cover that again here in a second. So let me set up this second parity. And once again, we are back. I've gotten everything looking like it's solved pyramid style, but when you come around to here, you'll notice that there's only a single edge flipped in place. If you know anything about a pyraminx, you know that that cannot happen. So let's take some of what we know here. We know that these outside edge pieces can function just like the outer edge triangles. Basically what that means is that we've got a false equivocation parity where you've got two of the same color outside edge triangles swapped. In order to fix these, you need to swap two of those. So basically we're back to kind of square one, and we need to find two of those same colors and swap them. You can set this up, create this, or you can just look around the puzzle and come across them. I came across two yellows sitting here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take these out one by one, remove the yellow, and replace it on the other side. This is going to mess up a lot of what you've already done. But as far as I can tell, this is the only chance you get to identify this parity. So you just kind of have to go back and start again. So first thing I'm going to do is bring down this yellow triangle pair on the right hand side down to here. So up, up, down, down. Get it out of the way, and then undo it on the left hand side. It's very important that you make sure to do opposite turns here, left and right. Now I want to bring down this yellow triangle pair on the left. So start on the left this time. Gonna bring in that flat yellow piece that I took out from the first one. Undo that on the right hand side this time. And now bring this one back down to the bottom. And swap in that new flat one. And then undo everybody in that direction. Now sadly, in doing this, you'll have messed up the tip triangles and all of the edge reductions that you just took time doing. So at this point, you just have to redo those tip triangles back from where I showed you, and then redo all of your edge reductions. I'm not going to redo that on camera because I just showed you how to do it all, but that does fix that parity that first showed up. It may create the second parity. It's hard to tell. It depends on how you reduce your tip triangles. So take it as you will. I'm going to get this back to a pretty much solved state and show you how to fix the last step. So give me 1 second. All right, well, hopefully you've got all your parities sorted out. I showed both of those in as much detail as I can. They're really just a matter of doing one. If you come across the other one, do it, and you might come across the first one again. It's kind of a pain, but I can't find any way to predetermine whether you're going to get the other one. So once you can do that, you should finally be able to reach a solved pyraminx state, where all of the two-color edges that you've paired up and put together can finally meet the correct locations. Now you're in a great spot because it's come down to my favorite step. I know that's a bit twisted because from what I've seen, some people hate this step, but I think it's fun. Here we're going to be using some more pyramorphics style techniques than we will be using prior to this. Basically what we're going to do here is fix all of these two triangle edge pieces that are last to do. We're going to have to take the edges out of place, but now we know they're solvable. So that's the main, most important part. So what I plan on doing here is I'm going to put an unsolved two-color triangle onto a face. I'm going to rotate the big triangle to move those two triangles into a position where they belong. I'm going to swap in or rotate an edge and then undo that rotation to fix things. This part can seem very tedious at first, but the hardest part is keeping your perspective. So first thing I need to do is, I'm on the orange face. I don't have any unsolved orange inside triangles. So let's look around. Here's one. The way I like to place these is I want to put the one I'm looking to solve on the bottom front. So right-hand side, bottom front. And then I want to put the piece that I need to move into this position up here. So I have one there that I can use. I still want to do my best to keep the tips correctly oriented this entire time. So now I've got this orange triangle set that's unsolved because it's not paired up with oranges, that will rotate down to here and move this green out of the way. Now I want to find an unsolved set of green outside edges that I can put into this position before fixing everything else. So let's see what I can do. I'm going to use the front face for this. So my blue face, let's put, let's see. I don't want to move anything that I've already got in place there. So that's another important step here. So I've still got my oranges, my orange and green there. And now I know that this set of yellow and green edges needs to be fixed as well, and will be fixed in a second here. So I need those to be here and rotated. So first thing I'm going to do is put them into this position, making sure not to mess up either of those. And then I'm going to rotate that piece 180 degrees using this as my third piece. So I've got that ready to go. So now I know that I can rotate this big triangle to put this orange set of triangles here. Then I'll be able to swap in this set of edges so that when I undo the rotation on this triangle, it'll fix that green as well. For this, I'm using pyramorphic style turns. So this is my right, this is my up, and this is my down. I'm going to use the beginner method corner rotation that I showed at the beginning to rotate this one counterclockwise so that orange will come into place. So to rotate that counterclockwise, it's right inverse, down inverse, right, down, right inverse, down inverse, right, down. As we know, that messes up a bunch of other stuff in the process. So I need to rotate another corner the opposite direction. I'm going to use this tip in the back as my second corner. So I'm going to bring that around with a U-turn and then do the opposite. So down inverse, right inverse, down, right, down inverse, down, right, and then undo that U-turn. Now it looks like I've undone the pairing on a lot of these edges, but that'll come back when I re-rotate these two corners. So for now, I just need to get this green piece up here, because if you notice, this edge hasn't been broken, this edge hasn't been broken, and this edge hasn't been broken. So I can use those freely for now. So I'm going to bring this green section into this position with just some pyramid style turns. And now I'm going to re-rotate this triangle the opposite direction. I'm going to rotate it clockwise this time, and then rotate this big tip counterclockwise, putting them both back where they belong, and in doing so, fixing all of the reduced edges that I had. So I'm going to rotate this big triangle first, still the same thing. This is my right, my down, my up. So this time I'm going to rotate it clockwise. So down inverse, down, right, down inverse, down, right. Then I'm going to rotate this up and then do right inverse, right, down, right inverse, right, down, and then undo that U-turn. And as you can see, it put all of my edges back where they belong, kept all of my tips oriented correctly, and we're good to go. At this point, it's just a matter of looking around the puzzle and finding things you can use. So on this yellow face, I can see that this blue can come down to here. I like using pieces from the top, so my U face as a pyromorphics turn. I know I can move this down to here, so I need to find an orange that's unsolved, set of orange edges, to put into this position so I can use it for later. I've got one here. I know I can bring it to here, and I just need to use this as my third edge because it's not involved. So, and this is a matter of just knowing your pyraminx turns and things like that. So same thing. I'm going to rotate this yellow triangle and rotate this back tip. So right inverse, right, down, right inverse, right, down. Bring this around, down inverse, down, right, down inverse, down, right. Undo that U-turn. Now I'm going to swap in this edge to bring that orange up to there. I'm going to undo those rotations. So I'm going to rotate this clockwise now. So down inverse, down, right, down inverse, down, right, a U-turn, and then right inverse, right, down, right inverse, right, down, and then undo that U-turn. And we're getting even closer. So let's see what we're looking at here. I know this needs to do something, so let's move a yellow into this position up here. So that works. I've got a yellow there, and it looks like I'm pretty close to being done here. So let's take a look. I've got this yellow that'll rotate down to here. I need to put in a blue in this position so that when I undo that rotation, it'll move a blue in. Here's yellow with blue. That works out fine. So let's move this down to here and then rotate this 180 degrees right in place. And now I can fix two of these. So I can move this yellow one down to here. I did that slightly backwards, sorry. Looking at the wrong color there for a second. That's better. Okay, so now I can move this yellow triangle set down to here with the yellow edges. And then I can move this blue edge set up to here. And when I undo the rotation, this blue triangle set will come into place. So right inverse, right, down, right inverse, right, down, upturn, down inverse, right inverse, down, right, down inverse, right inverse, down, right, undo that U-turn, swap in this new piece, and then undo the rotations. So, come on now. I swear it turns better when I'm not on camera. So down inverse, down, right, down inverse, down, right, and then up, right inverse, right, down, right inverse, right, down, and then undo that turn. And now we're back with just a couple left to go. So I've got a yellow here. Let's see if I have a yellow set of edges. I do. Let's bring those in onto this yellow face. So now I've got just these two left to go. This is the easier of the two situations that you can get for the last couple. I'll show you the other one in a second. I'll have to set that up. Basically what's going to happen here is I'm going to fix this yellow, And then I need to put a solved blue piece into this position so that when it rotates back, blue will go here, and this blue piece will come back into the solved one. So let's find a blue one that's solved. So there we go. That blue and yellow edge is solved. So this blue piece will come into this position and rotate everybody back. So right inverse, right, down, right inverse, right, down. Bring this up, down inverse, down, right, down inverse, down, right. That's good to go. I need to swap in the solved blue piece and undo those turns. So down inverse, down, right, down inverse, down, right. Bring this around, right inverse, right, down, right inverse, right, down, and then undo that U-turn. And now all of the 6 edges are completely reduced and ready to go. And because we tested for parity before, we know that they can all go right back where they belong. Give me 1 second, I'll set up for the other last, potentially last thing that can happen on a solve like this. One final scenario for reducing these edges. I've got 3 edges completely reduced. 1 edge halfway reduced, but this yellow is wrong, and on the other edge, both of the inside triangle sections are incorrect. So what I need to do is bring whichever piece here, the yellow, needs to come down to this position. Then I'm going to rotate this edge piece in place and undo those turns. So basically the yellow will solve this. When I rotate this edge in place, it'll put the orange here, and then when I redo this center, or this corner rather, it'll put the orange from this position up to here, and the blue will come into place. Same exact thing, except for just a different last set of moves. So right inverse, right, down, right inverse, right, down. Bring this up, down inverse, down, right, down inverse, down, right. Bring this around, and now I'm going to rotate this edge in place. Same exact algorithm I've been using. And then undo the rotations. So this time, down inverse, down, right, down inverse, down, right. Bring this up, right inverse, right, down, right inverse, right, down. And as you can see, we are back to having everything fully reduced. And because of the lucky parity situations that we double-checked for in the beginning, or middle of the solve, I guess, now we've got a fully solvable Pyraminx ready to go. And just with a few final turns here, the Trefoil Tetrahedron has been solved. A really fun puzzle, very hard to wrap your head around at first. There are 2 other versions of this. There's a 6-color version and a 12-color version. I'm sure some of what I've shown here can be helpful on both of those, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's some other type of weird parity on the multicolor versions, just because of how pieces work and things like that. But either way, I hope this was helpful, at least helping somebody wrap their head around this, and I wish you the best of luck in figuring it out and solving it. And, as always, happy solving!